Happy Sunday, June 30th. Today is the last day of June. Welcome back to Weather on the Go. All your weather coverage. Category 4 Hurricane Beryl is moving closer to the Caribbean Sea. We're going to be breaking down its impacts, its strength, and everything that you need to know about Hurricane Beryl in today's weather forecast. And closer to home, heat and humidity continues to build across parts of the United States. We'll break down the numbers on that and the potential for severe weather through potentially even the July 4th holiday as well. We'll break down everything that you need to know closer to home as well in today's weather forecast. So if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel here at Weather on the Go. We cover North America, including southern Canada, the United States, the tropics. Make sure to like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below, especially after the video is over. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video as well. So looking here at the tropics, look at the infrared satellite imagery this afternoon on your Sunday, and this is just to the east of the islands of Barbados, St. Vincent, and Grenada as we go in toward the Lesser Antilles here. And this is Hurricane Beryl. This is going to be moving westbound into the Eastern Caribbean as we go into the early part of the work week. And look at all of the sea surface temperatures that are well above normal out here, especially in the central and the eastern Caribbean, that has to work with this system. So this system is not going to be weakening anytime soon. In fact, the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida has hurricane warnings posted for most of the Lesser Antilles, including the big islands there of Barbados, St. Vincent there, the St. Lucia area, all the way down to Grenada. And that further off to the west, that continues at major hurricane strength all the way through potentially near the Jamaica region into the middle of the week there on Wednesday, and then it moves westward from there into the Western Caribbean Thursday into Friday, closing in on the Yucatan Peninsula and Belize as we go into that Friday time frame as a lower end hurricane. So let's look here at the ensemble tracks of where this hurricane could track. Right now we are very confident that this is going to move over some of the islands there are Barbados, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and also Grenada, and then move over the open waters of the central and eastern Caribbean early next week. Then as it moves further west by Wednesday into the Jamaica region, and then closing in on the Yucatan Peninsula there and Belize potentially as we go into the late on in the work week Thursday, Friday timeframe. Although there are some ensembles that are a little bit further north toward western Cuba, and maybe even into the central Gulf of Mexico. So something that we do have to watch with this. The track later next week is still pretty uncertain. Let's take this a little bit further, show you the wind gusts with this going all the way through Friday, July 5th. And you can see the main track here has most of the center of that low pressure here and that hurricane just to the south of the big island there of Jamaica midweek, and then moves it westbound toward the Yucatan there, toward the Central America areas of Belize, and even into Mexico. So something to keep an eye on as we go through the end of the week. Closer to home here, we do have heat headlines that continue across the southern United States. Heat advisories in the orange, and in the purples, those are excessive heat warnings across most of Dixie Alley and the southeast. Extensive heat advisories across the Sacramento Valley there in California, where we have excessive heat warnings, even red flag warnings where it's very dry over there in eastern Nevada and Utah, and even some flood watches as well, with some of that monsoonal moisture moving up over top of that western periphery of the ridge across the Four Corners region as well. So a lot going on. Let's talk here at high temperatures this afternoon. Here are your expected highs: 101 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area up there toward Wichita Falls, 94 into Oklahoma City, 98 in Little Rock, and 98 down there as well in the Shreveport region. Looking at heat index values, it's going to be another yucky day down here. Heat indexes 105 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So make sure to stay hydrated. Make sure to, if you venture outdoors, to find shaded areas, or more importantly, air-conditioned areas as well. Look further to the north. Beautiful weather across the northern tier of the United States, the Midwest, getting through the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and interior New England. Temperatures there, beautiful 70s and 80s with low humidity today. Definitely get outdoors and enjoy it while you can. Looking, though, at yesterday's storm reports here, we did have 3 tornado reports, one in southeast southeastern Kansas, and 2 of them over on the Indiana-Illinois state line, with a lot of wind reports here in the blue extending all the way down here into Arizona, New Mexico, through the Texas Panhandle here into the southern plains, through the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast, and even a couple up here into the upper Great Lakes. So we had a lot of severe weather yesterday. There's the cold front, and that was the culprit with the severe weather yesterday. It's going to be the culprit today. Out ahead of that, we're going to have a lot of that storm energy, and you can clearly see where the cold front has moved through. The storm energy is 0, where you see the whites here, and ahead of that you have a lot of storm energy in the yellows, oranges, and reds. That's 2,000, 3,000, if not closing in on 4,000 joules per kilogram, and in the weather world that is strong instability. So severe weather is a heightened risk today across the I-95 corridor, portions of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast coast. We're talking Boston down through Hartford there, including Rhode Island as well, down into New York City, Long Island there, into the New Jersey area, the entire state of New Jersey, so Trenton, New Jersey as well, down there toward Philadelphia and Baltimore. We have that enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5 for severe weather, and then the slight risk from Maine all the way down here into North Carolina, and then another slight risk up here into Montana and western North Dakota as well. We'll have to watch as well. So looking here at the hazards these storms could bring, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, especially up here from Boston down through New York City and Hartford, Trenton, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and into the Baltimore area as well. And then we could have some significant hurricane force wind gusts over 75 miles per hour, where you see these dash shaded lines into eastern Montana. So something to keep an eye on there. The hail threat is there, could see some quarter-size hailstones or thereabouts, and the tornado threat is highest at a 2% chance from Caribou, Maine, down through Portland, Maine, there, Concord, New Hampshire, Boston, Providence, Hartford, New York City, Albany, all the way down to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore. So some big metropolitan areas in the mix that could have an isolated tornado threat this afternoon, this evening, and into the overnight hours. So let's break that down a little bit further for you this afternoon. Scattered showers and storms developing along and ahead of that cold front we were just showing you, with all that storm energy that's going to be pushing further to the east and southeast. And look at all these big storms lining up across the I-95 corridor. Isolated storm coverage this afternoon across Montana and the Dakotas. Those will be more apt to growing into the evening, overnight hours across eastern Montana and the western Dakotas, and that will be your main threat there, while the northeast coast will start to quiet down here as that cold front moves offshore later on this evening. So the main severe weather event this evening and tonight will be across eastern Montana and the western Dakotas, and that will translate over into your Monday morning commute. Speaking of the new week, Monday, July 1st, as we turn the page into the new month, through Friday, July 5th, the cooler weather, relatively speaking. It is early July after all, so there will be some warm days in the mix, but it's going to be generally cooler than normal across the north and to the south. We're going to see some warmer than normal temperatures, and look at the Sacramento Valley and California in general here, folks, next week. We could be as much as 23 degrees above average across portions of Sacramento, Fresno, down there toward Los Angeles, San Diego, in towards the Santa Barbara area there. So it's going to be very scorching hot down there into California. And we got to look at the northern periphery, or the crest of that ridge. And there's the ridge center down here across Dixie Alley from Louisiana eastward through South Carolina and Georgia. Over the top is where we see that, the crest, if you will. And that's where we see the highway for storms. The jet stream is a lot more energized up here next week. So here is our first low pressure system in a very strong highway of storms, if you will, that will develop on Monday across South Dakota as a 1001 millibar low. And if you don't know about the strength of low pressure systems, the lower the number, the stronger the low pressure system. That will track northeast into western Ontario, Canada, into the southern Canadian prairies as a 996 millibar low. So that means the low pressure will strengthen because the number drops there on Tuesday, and then a new low pressure will develop down here along the cold front into eastern portions of Kansas at a 1004 millibars. So let's look here at what this low pressure will bring early on in the week. Slight risk of severe weather for the Dakotas, eastern Wyoming, Nebraska, western Minnesota, and western Iowa. This could bring all hazards here, damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes. So going through the day on Monday, scattered storm activity from the Dakotas down there into Nebraska, western Iowa, and maybe as far south as eastern Kansas, and then more explosive thunderstorm development as we go into Monday evening with the peak heating of the day. The sun angle's higher, the instability's higher, deeper into the night, so you can see more of that upscale growth into what we call a mesoscale convective system, which is just a fancy term for a squall line of storms. Damaging winds would be the main threat here, followed by hail and tornadoes. Then as we go into Tuesday, the cold front is not very quick moving, but it's going to move through the Midwest. So another slight risk, level 2 out of 5 in the yellow here from the Iowa region down into northern Missouri, western Illinois, southeast Nebraska, down in there into central and northeastern Kansas. And again, scattered coverage during the day, but peak heating of the day, more upscale growth. And again, another mesoscale convective system here. And this is a little bit more uncertain on Tuesday where the exact placement of this will be, even though there is some confidence on Iowa and northern Missouri. How far east or west this develops is very uncertain because of outflow boundaries left over from Monday night storms. So that is something we'll have to fine tune as we get closer. Then as we go into the middle of the week on Wednesday, July 3rd, the day before the 4th, that low moves up into southern Quebec as a 991 millibar low and out of our hair. And then a new area of low pressure will develop off the Front Range in Wyoming and Colorado on Wednesday into the southern plains on Thursday for July 4th, and then up into the Great Lakes towards Lake Michigan and Superior by Friday, July 5th. So that's going to bring more unsettled weather across the Rockies as we go into Wednesday, kind of a transition day here. I know there's a lot of green showing up on the map. Most of the day Wednesday will be spent with dry hours, so the dry hours will outweigh the wet hours here across the United States on Wednesday. Thursday gets pretty unsettled, though, from the Dakotas down into Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, and into the Ohio, Tennessee river valleys. We have to watch of some training thunderstorms. We already have saturated soils in this environment, and here is the rainfall totals for any holiday festivities there for Thursday, July 4th. Looks like it's going to be pretty heavy rain from portions of Missouri eastward into the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley there, especially into the Kentucky, into portions of Indiana, Ohio, and western Pennsylvania. Another area where we have to watch for heavier rains from the eastern Dakotas, central Minnesota, and into northern Wisconsin. The western U.S. pretty dry, the southern U.S. pretty dry, and along the east coast pretty dry for any holiday festivities as we go into the 4th of July. And then as we go into Friday, that low pressure moves up toward Lake Michigan and Superior with a trailing cold front and more active weather across the eastern U.S., pretty dry out west for that Friday time frame. Overall, through next week, Monday, July 1st through Friday, July 5th, this is the rainfall totals here, and the heaviest, more hard-hit areas will be up here into the northern U.S. on the crest or the northern periphery of that ridge. That'll be up across the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes here in the Ohio Valley, while underneath we have that ridge of high pressure, very dry air, very sinking air, and then out west, not a drop of rain for California, Nevada, Oregon, or Utah either. So definitely very dry out across those areas. Next weekend now, we're extending into the Saturday, July 6th, Sunday, July 7th time frame. Cooler air with the trough and low pressure systems continuing across the middle of the country, heat building across the east, and really starting to crank up across the west. This is a start of a more progressive pattern that we're going to be in, as this ridge of high pressure out west will actually translate east toward the middle of July, and this will lead to more hot temperatures for the middle of the country by then. We'll talk about more of that in tomorrow's July outlook that will be out tomorrow. And you can see going into the weekend, Saturday we're going to have some active weather across the southeast, and Sunday across the upper Midwest, upper Great Lakes region, a few rogue storms down there near the Gulf Coast and the southeast coast as well. But notice the theme here, very dry out west, Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th there for next weekend. Here is the rainfall totals. Few and far between, couple areas of enhanced precipitation up near the Midwest, Great Lakes, and maybe near the southeast coast. But other than that, the west is going to be very dry. That's the theme as we go into next weekend. And overall, the severe weather perspective here, going through the Wednesday the 3rd, Thursday the 4th, Friday the 5th, 6th, and 7th time frame through next weekend here. Low-end chances for severe weather. No major outbreaks of severe weather. Certainly no tornado outbreaks, so that is some good news. But we have to watch out for some low-end, marginal, slight-risk days for severe weather upcoming through the week. It is summer after all. We have to be watching out for that, and we will keep you covered right here on this channel. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. We'll keep you covered. Another weather forecast video out for you tomorrow talking about the July outlook and potentially more on Hurricane Beryl. And thank you all for watching so much. I thank all of you for all the support. If you do enjoy these videos, make sure to give it a like down below by giving it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video. My name is Hunter with Weather on the Go, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.